Alright, so I'm gonna be making breakfast right now. You don't want to know the time. You don't want to know the time. So I'm gonna put you down here, okay? So you can see what I'm making, kind of. Alright. So I've got some flatbread here that I'm gonna be making in this pan. My mom makes flatbread in some special way that makes it not sticky, so you don't need flour. It's incredible. I don't have a rolling pin, so we kind of just use this jar, and it's been making do. It's actually full with kelp for our dog Sophie. So that's just kind of what I do. Turn on. Anyway, that's just a little bit of that. Also, like, the stove, okay, I always try to use like a cast iron, but like, okay, that's side note. I dislike the buttons on our stove because they confuse me. Or not the buttons, the little symbols. Let me show you. Okay, so like here, for example, I don't know what it is about the square and the circle that like confuses me as to where on the board it is, even though it's quite simple. Is anybody else like that? Like, what does that mean? Oh, you know. Anyway, so making flatbread, probably an egg. We'll see where that takes me, and then we'll see from there. Okay, I'll set you there because that's perhaps not the most flattering angle, but it's the only place I can find to put you. So there's that. I am trying not to eat peanut butter lately. We'll see where this takes me. I've eaten peanut butter throughout my life. Like, it's kind of a staple in my diet. But I've been hearing a lot about how peanut butter and peanuts in general have mold, or like were produced having mold on them. And same goes for coffee. Coffee is, I go through phases where I'm really into coffee and phases where I'm like not that interested at all. But I've been in a coffee phase, and I'm trying my best to eliminate coffee now because it also has mold unless it's like certain companies have tested for it. Pouring my oil. I really love avocado oil. It's my favorite. It's just a little weird because so many products have mold in them, or like some contaminants, and just being a mold survivor, it's like, I don't know, it is rough, and it makes me wonder if that's like why I haven't seen the progress that I wish I could see. Notably in like my weight, because you know, if you guys know, you know, like I gained 100 pounds in a very short amount of time. I think it was less than 5 months. I'm gonna go get a plate. Got my plate, isn't it cute? I very much like my plate, and I mean, come on. Ooh, that looks yummy. Anywho, gotta go get my egg now. But it's like I gained 100 pounds in a very short amount of time. It was a very wild experience for me. Very hard to adjust as your body is constantly like changing. Every single time I was going into the doctors, which was about once or twice a month, I was gaining anywhere between 15 pounds to like 35 pounds, and it just was wild. you may have heard me talk about that before, because my doctor even said, like, the only way you would be able to gain this much weight is if you were eating McDonald's for every single meal, and then it still wouldn't even really make sense at how rapidly it was happening. It just was crazy. And so if you don't have one of these for your pan, get one, because you, like, when the pan handle is hot, you just like put this on there and it's pretty great. As you can imagine, that was pretty jarring for me. And because my mom also has the mold allergy, the same thing was happening to her, like, exactly. And that was also jarring. It was jarring for her, but also very jarring to watch her go through the same thing. Because I was like visually watching that extreme happen to her. I have to reach behind you. I'm gonna put some kelp on my eggs. I've been really liking this kelp, man. It is pretty good. I always put nutritional yeast, and I like pepper on my eggs. I am a pepper girl. That was very jarring, and I have succeeded in healing from just about every other aspect of toxic mold except for that. It's just held on, even though I'm not doing anything to warrant it. You know what I mean? In fact, more days than not, I'm eating far less than the recommended daily amount of calories, and I exercise. Like, I'm up to 3 miles a day walking my dog. Like, it's kind of insane. But it's just, I am using ranch, though. I haven't been liking this. We bought it for pizza. Got to be talking about, like, the worst thing that I eat anyway. But not that any food is bad. I'm not, you know, I don't know. I still eat pizza, you know, but I was making homemade mayo and it was so good, but the recipe only made like a small jar of it, and now I'm out. And I haven't been able to buy more mayo or make more mayo. So I've been using ranch. I kind of make like a sandwich for myself in the morning. I don't know, maybe some people think that's like, why are you doing that? But that's what I like. I like savory things in the morning. At best, I'll have like a side of fruit, but yeah. So that's that. Now that I'm done with that, we can go sit down, and I want to talk about my art lately. All right, got my copper water bottle. If you guys don't have a copper water bottle, you should. It's awesome. It's my favorite thing. I always put my water obviously in there. I wouldn't put anything else in there if I were you. But it has so many benefits. Copper has so many benefits for you, and it makes your water so cold. It's so, like, it's so good. Anyway, so, little show and tell, I think. But before I do, I just had to grab some Parmesan because, I I always put Parmesan. I've been putting Parmesan with my egg in the morning. It's pretty good. I bought this. It's funny. I don't really buy Parmesan. Like when I have spaghetti, I always have like nutritional yeast on it because I just love nutritional yeast. But I bought this because we were making homemade macaroni and cheese, and it was really good. I've never made homemade macaroni and cheese before. It was really good. And I used the Parmesan, and now I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, for those of you who do not like misophonia, I'll probably not eat, right? Like actually take bites. Some people really hate that. This is so good. So good. I'm eating it with a fork, even though it's kind of like a sandwich type of deal. But I've got my flatbread. I've got mustard and ranch. I'm usually not a ranch girl, but you know, it had to be done. Which, still really good. Parmesan and my egg, and I'm eating it with a fork. It's so good. Okay, I'll just eat once. So sorry, my misophoniacs. Anybody ever call you that? I wanted to show you guys this. This is a music box that I got. I'll show you up close, actually. Years ago. It came broken. It was secondhand. I think I actually got it for free. Because my church growing up, went to a Seventh-day Adventist church. I don't know if I've ever talked about that growing up. And I'm no longer Seventh-day Adventist, but went to a Seventh-day Adventist church, and I went to a Seventh-day Adventist one room schoolhouse for a good like 2 years, I think. I loved the school so much, but that's a separate note. And for the most part, I went to like public school, so it was very unusual for me, but I loved it. And they had like a little garage sale type of thing to earn money, and of course, like some of the things they didn't get bought up by people, and so they gave each of the students like one thing a day for free to just take home. And this was one of the days that I took home because I collect music boxes. My mom collected music boxes for me, or she started my collection before I was born. And I just really, really liked this. I thought it was so cute. To me, it looks very 40s or maybe 50s. I'm not sure which. I might have looked it up before. This is Marilite. And then Marathon, something scratched off. Marathon, 1984. Made in Hong Kong. Okay, I was way off on the year. Does this not look like a 50s? Like her face totally looks 50s to me. Maybe it was supposed to look 50s. I don't know. Okay. I had to finish my breakfast. I just had to. It's too good. Too good not to eat warm. But yeah, so I have this cute little thing. I have no idea what was meant to go here. I think I looked it up before and it was supposed to be a kitten, maybe? I don't know. But, it didn't have all these cracked white, like, painted things on it. That was done by me. Because I tried air dried clay for the first time. It was the Crayola air dry clay, and I do like that clay so far. I mean, it's fun to work with, that's for sure. But I had no idea how to use it, really. Like, they said, okay, add water, and I just made the clay way too wet and also way too small of pieces. I think they said they can't be any smaller than like a fourth of an inch. And as you can see, this thing is pretty like, you know, I wanted to make like small garlands and like trees and kind of woodsy all in here. I did a whole thing on this, a whole garland that wrapped around. And by the time I reached the end, this part was falling and then this part was falling. It just was not working out. And I did that like, oh my gosh, I did that 2 years ago. And I should have washed this off. I feel bad, but you know, if I sand it, it'll probably be better, and then who knows what I can do. That Crayola crayon girl, the girl who loves the dandelion yellow Crayola crayon, she's all over TikTok. She's adorable. She is always painting things and making these amazing things, and she like sands it down and then paints it, and she must use acrylic paint, surely. Not like watercolor. Watercolor is the only thing that I have on me right now. I even ran out of my gouache, which I'm so sad about, or I didn't run out of it. It's mostly just the fact that my white gouache is gone. It's rough. It's hard to find white gouache online. I mean, I'm not an experienced gouacher, so maybe I'm just looking up the wrong thing, and I used Winsor & Newton, and I can't find any just tubes of white Winsor & Newton. You have to like buy the whole kit. It's whatever. But side note, but anyway, this is that, and I failed at my first attempt using the air dry clay. In hindsight, there's probably some things that I could have done differently. I probably could have sanded this down beforehand so the clay could have gripped on better. Didn't do that. There's a lot of things that I could have done, because this is like naturally like that like plasticky, slippy material. Anyway, this is a very cute music box, and I feel like it could be cuter if I did something like that with it, you know? If I like made a cute little scene down here. It just feels like it's asking for that. I mean, it's so simplistic if it doesn't have that. So that was a failed air dry clay project, and lately I've been getting back into the air dry clay, and my attempt at it so far has no cracks. And then my mom tried an attempt, and her project is much, much smaller than mine was, and so I was a little nervous for hers. I really, not gonna lie, but I followed all these steps online on how to prevent cracking, and it seems to have worked because her project doesn't have any cracks in it either. So I'm really excited about that. But you know, and that wasn't just my only attempt at air dry clay. I had another attempt. I made this cute little goblin. I think I've shown him on here before. I'm pretty certain I have. I definitely showed him on TikTok before. He was so cute. In my opinion, I felt very proud of him. He had kind of a goblin-y nose. And I held on to him for a long time. Even when he was starting to crack, I tried to like just fix him with the clay. That I did incorrectly as well, and he ended up just falling apart right in my hands. It was so sad. It was so sad. And so hopefully these ones will do really good. We followed all the steps for it, and I used like a paintbrush while the clay was still like not wet, but like while the clay was still before it dried and I was still working with it. I used a barely damp paintbrush to just blend out those edges and buff them out, every single little crack that I noticed, every single little mark. And it made my whole project look kind of smooth, so I'll show you that. And I think I'll also show you my mom's project probably, because I'm so excited for hers. So excited. She had a pretty genius idea. Oh, okay, so I think I'll show you mine first. Here we are. Maybe I should flip you around, eh? All right, and here we are. He is sitting on these notebooks in my closet. He is going to be a crow or a raven, and because I heard the whole thing about making something that is like 1/4 of an inch thick, I made a really big piece, just a really big piece, because I just didn't want any cracking at all. And I just started using all of the different methods, like using the paintbrush thing. He's looking very good so far, I think. Anything that you see that looks like a crack, like that down there, it's actually a hair. It's a hair. I tried my very best not to let any dog hairs in there. Like even that, I think that might actually be kind of a crack, maybe, which is a big crack, but it doesn't look like it's going that deep, so we'll see. We'll see. Also, the bottom of him has these, like that's a hair on the left. But it has like those dots, and it didn't have that before, but I think he's doing pretty good. I made these armholes because I had an idea for his arms that fell through. And I don't understand this yellowing. Can somebody explain that to me? Why is it looking less white there? I don't get it. They also say that sanding is a good idea. So I am going to sand it. And I'm so scared about that. I really am. And I'm going to primer it. And then I'm going to paint it with my watercolors. And then I bought Mod Podge to put over it, a gloss Mod Podge, because I just thought it would look really cool and make like his feathers, his painted feathers, like shine and like look iridescent. We shall see what that brings us. He does still have those holes in his arms or in his sides that I want to use to make something interesting with feathers. I had this whole idea for his wings, and I flew a little too close to the sun, and I put a thin layer of the air dry clay over pieces of metal, and it just didn't work out. They cracked like almost immediately. So however, I do have something very cool in front of me that I might use. I might try to fasten on some of these feathers. This has been an amazing year for feathers, you guys. I don't know what it is. I mean, I did move this year, so maybe it's like just there's a lot more feathers here, I guess. But yeah, I collected all these feathers on the ground. Like, isn't this awesome? These are just the feathers that were the most like intact. There, of course, were several other feathers that were just, you know, barely anything that I just didn't want to pick up. But like I think this might be a crow feather, like a literal crow feather. And how cool would that be to find like another pair in here and try to like put those on it. I don't know. I think that could be kind of interesting. I kind of want him to be folk art-y. If you're wondering what these are my little moth friends that I've found. Yeah, they're so precious to me. Anyway, so that's that. I might find some way to fasten those on there. Now time to show you my mom's project, because I am so excited for hers. So excited. So she's made these snails. I mean, the only part that has lost its integrity that I can see is that part where it connects to the log right there. Every other part is pretty smooth. That one, there's a little part, like little parts on it that are, I don't know, they look like they could have lost integrity. They could have lost, I don't know, they could have been more cracked than they are. And they are stunning. She even has a hole like for the shell there. It's awesome. This is just a genius idea. Now, if hers works out, I'm so hyped to do something cool like that too. I think I just was really trying to play it safe with my crow, and we'll see if that pays off in the end. But all those methods, the paintbrush method, also not using that much water. Like, they say use water with air dry clay, but like very minimal. At least that's what I used, is very little. Like, I would just barely touch the water, and like try to make sure that like it wasn't a full-blown water drop in my hand. And then I would just roll the clay in my hand all together, and it seemed to be the best. Like, way more moldable. It just worked out so good. And I'm so proud already. So I'm hoping that it turns out the way that I want it to. It's so weird because last night I had a dream that I had like a commission, which is so weird because like I don't sell my art or anything. I would like to in the future, but I don't sell my art or anything. And I just had this like commission from this lady, and I think I put it up on Facebook Marketplace for $150. And he was all completed. I don't really remember what he looked like because he didn't really look like it. My mind knew it was the crow, but he looked a little different. Well, in part of my dream he was completed, and then in the other part of my dream I was making it for her, so I don't know what the deal was with that. But anyway, he was gonna be bought for $150, and then part of my dream I was making him, and I was like, he was like falling apart as I was making him, and then by the end he looked very different from that. He had like a red scarf and a snowman pin on the scarf that was actually, when I found the snowman pin in my dream, I was like, this is really big, but it could kind of work. And it like almost took up the whole scarf. It was kind of funny. So I don't know what that dream was about. I think she liked it. I think she bought it and liked it. So, that's good. I don't know why I priced it for $150 in my dream. Weird. What else? What else was I going to show today? I have also been trying to work with watercolor. I guess this has just been my season of trial and error with art forms that I thought were just not for me. Because I thought that watercolor was not for me. I just didn't like the super, I don't know, I think it was hard for me to understand because I went from gouache to watercolor and I didn't understand how you build up watercolor. Also, like, I had only been seeing watercolor things that were like using a ton of water and very, I guess, that typical watercolor look, you know? But that was just so, I don't know. I was growing impatient of that. It was just so hard to work with, in my opinion. It just felt like I was waiting forever for it to dry, and then I wanted to get to the detail portion, and it just was taking forever, which is probably just user error. But I've been working with watercolor, still have a lot to learn. My projects have not been perfect lately, by any means. But I should show you that because I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed them more than I thought. So let me show you those. Okay, these were some tanuki that I made. I am still, again, a beginner at watercolor because the colors look very dull to me, and I think it's like, I don't really know how to add enough water yet. Like, I'm either adding too much water where it's just like a runny mess, or I'm like adding not enough water and so the colors are just what they are. And I enjoyed layering this one more than I thought, but he's a little scary because I don't know. I think I don't know. I think the colors were too dark. I don't think I really knew what I was doing. His eyes are scary. I don't know. I like the moss portion of this a lot better than I like the Tanuki portion. This guy, however, I do think he's very cute. I do, however, like I outlined him in pen, and I kind of wish that my art here, my watercolor, would have stood alone without the pen, but without the pen I just didn't like it that much. It was like hard to tell the features. I don't know. So it's a trial and error. I'm doing my best. It's just interesting. Okay, so this was, I mean, of course, this was the this is what I drew. This is just a little doodle that I did, so just, you know, whatever. But I turned it around, and this was supposed to be the palette. This is literally the colors that I used. I did like a darkest to lightest sort of gradient, and I am not seeing a whole lot of these light gradients in my art. You know what I mean? It's like, it just was too heavy. I wasn't using enough water. And I don't know. I think it would have been cool if I would have really used like way lighter colors in the background here. Like it's just very heightened extremes of that, but I didn't do that. And these are just some gold flecks that or gold paint that I used. Anyway, that's that. Other things that I've been into lately have been this magazine cuttings. This is my first one I ever did. I had a lot of gardening magazines, so, you know, I mean, I just sort of made like a collage of a different sort of garden-y thing. And I mean, it's okay. It's not the best, but I tried my best. So not too bad. And, you know, I'm not a gouache expert either, but these were my gouache drawings, and these were from before Toxic Mold, because, like, Toxic Mold, y'all, Toxic Mold, I was in it for about three and a half, I used to say 4, but I think it's more like 3.5 years. It was devastating. And then after that, I was trying to recover from it. I still am kind of trying to recover, and I'm just sort of learning how to be creative again, like dipping my toes in the creative world. Because I used to write occasionally. Well, before Toxic Mold, I did all sorts of stuff. So I'm just sort of getting back into it. And these were some of my things that I did before I was in Toxic Mold. They're still not the best gouache pieces. Like, I still don't even fully understand gouache. Some of my colors were a little dark, even with gouache. But, and I didn't understand the 2 whites. They gave me 2 whites, and then I think one of them is for brightening, and then one of them is just for muting. I really don't understand the 2 different gouache whites, but these are some of the things that I did before Toxic Mold, and I don't know. It's just interesting because, like, I still don't have like a ton of even work here, but I'm excited to get back into painting. I love painting. So I've got this little mountain, some penguins. This one didn't translate that well. Some penguins on like a 3D sort of thing. These were like these planets that I did. Again, let me look at the year here. I think I was I don't know. This was before Toxic Mold. Oh, 2019 when I did this one. So I was 20. I'm 26 now. So 6 years ago. These are the ones I'm most proud of. This is a chow. And it's like, again, like not perfect, but I do feel like, okay, there's some semblance of a chow there. Like, you know what I mean? So there is that. This was my attempt at a galah cockatoo. And like a bunch of them flying. You know, that was a hand. Not my greatest work. This one is the other one that I'm proud of. Funny how it's both dogs. Dogs are my special interest if you don't know, but This is a Japanese Akita Inu. They are my favorite dog breed. So red brindled one. I don't have a date on that. Anyway, this was actually something that I saw in the like faux granite. The faux granite of our countertop, and it was like a face that I saw, and I just was like, oh, let me make it. But then it just, I don't know, it didn't translate very well. He is kind of funny looking, kind of interesting. I don't know. I was gonna draw something and then I just didn't. I bailed. And this was going to be a skunk, but I don't know. It was like a skunk in a garden, but then I just bailed on that one. This is another one of my magazine cuttings. I want to continue doing magazine cuttings. I really do, because they're fun to me. They're a lot of fun. I love working with the X-Acto knife. And I don't know, I love when I get vintage looking ads. Oh, it's so good. But this one's kind of like, ooh, kind of trippy. Anyway, that's sort of what I've been up to a little bit. Kind of overcoming a cold, so wish me luck with that. My immune system, as we know, is not the greatest due to toxic mold yet again. Anywho, that's about it. So have a good day.